At least it's morning for me. It'll probably be evening. Probably sometimes around 12 when you see this, maybe. I don't know. I meant to reply to your video, like, not last night, but the night before, because I got yours that morning, and oh my god, hilarious. Hilarious. But, um, I, and I'm so mad I missed your rendition of The Raisin in the Sun. I feel like it would have been everything. But what I say, it's truth. It's true. But but yeah, that night I had to actually have a Skype call, and I've got my Skype working finally. Jesus, um, with a possible graduate advisor by the name of Erica Edwards. She's at Brown University, and she's currently on sabbatical in Japan. So that was the only time in the evening. It was like 10 for her and like 8 p.m. for me or something like that. And yeah, it was the only time that we could really have that kind of communication. Um, because I work so late, I don't get home until like 7, and then I wanted to have an hour to actually like freshen up. I wore my shirt, I had shorts on because really she's not seeing all that. But and that went well. And then last night I was just tired. And so this morning I have my tea, which is what you're hearing. My water boiling. I have my PB&J sandwich from yesterday that I did not eat, that I'll probably be munching and crunching on at some point. I'm sorry, I know eating in videos can be really gross, and I'm not editing it out. So let's get to these. Let's get to my responses where I put them up there. Okay, so what I wanted to say was in that first video I made, I was going to make a reference to Arwal. I don't know. You know the queen. I forget the island name, but the one queen who got stuck out on the small island. And I was gonna say like, I think my life would even be more interesting if I was on that island, but I don't actually know that. How's that girl doing? Is she doing well? Is her life okay? I'm using female pronouns, but I don't actually think she's a woman. Actually, I know she's not, unless she transitioned, and then she is. Okay. So okay, so you asked about the whole Shawnee thing. So Shawnee was my father's then girlfriend, and so I and my brother, we didn't really know how close my father was to her, and so it's been kind of until the first time we went down, when he was on his deathbed. She and her daughter were the main ones there, taking care of my father, cleaning him, bringing him things, talking to him, blah, blah, blah. Very, very, she fit that role very strongly. It made me become very connected to her and feel like thankful that my father had someone there for him at the end of his life like that. It was a very good feeling. She was there in the hospital with us the entire time. Um, but then, um, apparently, that kind of person that she was um, being at the end of my father's life isn't who she is typically. Um, we found out on the second trip there that she is very much so the kind of high maintenance party girlfriend who just really likes, you know, people buying things for her. And so there was a lot of drama with like an insurance policy, life insurance policies, where there were two, one for my grandmother and then one for Shawnee, and Shawnee's was like 4 times larger than the one for my grandmother, and there was drama there, and so Shawnee was supposed to pay for all these things in like the past month regarding the funeral, um, things like the 9 night and stuff like that, and um, she just didn't, you know, and she didn't come around the house. She didn't talk to my grandmother at all in the month that we weren't there. She's just very distant the entire time, and she just kind of had almost nothing. She, yeah, she just didn't want anything to do basically with. um, with my family after I guess she got her money, and she was like, okay, I'm gonna set up this funeral because she was the one who set up the funeral, her and her daughter, uh, and there were so it was just a lot of things. You know, my father had some like he had a computer and his phone and his some of his valuables. You know, they were gone before we had even gotten there to be with him when he was in the hospital. And so we assume that she has them and she took them, and you know she's not really responding to get those things back, and so it's just all very shady and gross. And at this point, it's like I don't know, what's done is done. You know, she can't. Yeah, she got away with money. My grandmother didn't get nothing because she's the main one living down there now. And my father's taking care of her basically. But um, yeah, it just leaves a nasty taste in your mouth because the entire time, she was very much so trying to get on my brother's side almost to be like, okay, we shared that experience, blah blah blah. If it wasn't for me and my brother, she probably wouldn't have shown up to anything, um, because she feels like we are almost her. As long as she's in good with us, she doesn't have to feel guilty about it. Because I mean, she's not a monster, right? She's not some caricature of some evil gold digger kind of thing. She is a person. Um, she is trying to make it in Jamaica. It's hard, you know. I'm sure she wanted to set her and her daughter up, get some money out of it, so they can live, well. When because my father he's a very generous person. He's always giving to them, giving, giving, giving. Um, and so I understand motivations behind it. Also, but she still feels bad. Like you can tell, she feels like she knows what she's doing is not like the most copacetic thing. But at the same time, she feels like she has to do it. So it's done. What's done is done. We're gonna move forward and just make sure my grandmother has. And it was really hard for her. Like the day that we left after the funeral was her birthday, and so that was really hard to have something that close to your birthday be so intense. And that's actually one of the fears I had, was that the funeral was going to end up around my birthday because her birthday was the 1st of December. Mine was the 22nd of November, right? So it's all very, very, very tied up. Yeah. But next question. Um, yeah, so as far as my emotions go with dealing with the situation, I found that um, a lot of my emotions are like, I've been having some rough dreams. So often I sleep with the light on because that seems to make me not really remember my dreams. But uh, yeah, so I've been just having rough dreams, and that's the main um, manifestation of my emotions in this time. I found, I was very emotional, right when it happened. Um, and I did feel very closed off to a lot of things, but also once I left Jamaica, I just wanted to get back into the comfort of my old life, not being in the closet, not having all these things, pressures, family pressures, things like that. I just wanted to get back into my old groove. Um, and so I was able to kind of move forward. Yeah, it definitely didn't feel right. I definitely felt different. I definitely felt like almost wrong, doing a lot of the things this just the same way I had been doing it. But for the most part, I wasn't crying every day. When in Jamaica, that was very much so a thing. And even when I went back, the first like day I was back there, I cried like 3 times that day. Um, but in the U.S., I haven't cried since probably before my father passed. Yeah, this is kind of, um, I know, it, it's not there aren't so many things triggering my memory of my father, so mostly it's just like having his memory with me. in the U.S. and I'm moving forward through it because the way it wasn't like a fast thing. It wasn't like just one night he was gone. It was a process of that first trip I went to go see my father and meet him and really get to know him. It was I set that trip. We found out like I bought the plane tickets. We found out that he had this very intense cancer, and then I went on the trip, and then he started chemo. Then he stopped chemo because it was money draining and it was painful, and he didn't want the chemo to kill him. And then everyone is in debt, and because he did not want to be a burden on any people, so he came off chemo, and then he was just living with the cancer for a while. So we knew, there's only one outcome with that. So it was spread out over a long time of like anticipating the moment. Yeah. Um, so stuff with my stepdad. So I am. So I'm of the mind that I recognize that he is, he's a man, he's a person, he is flawed. He's not perfect, and he's not the love of my mother's. He's not my mother's the soulmate or anything. I definitely feel like my dad was closer to that, being one of the ones for her than who Steve is. But he's definitely the father of her kid. He is a guy who cares for her, and he does. He's flawed, but he does. And so I'm just not me bringing drama into it because of um, I guess the way he has been dealing with the whole situation emotionally. Um, it's just unnecessary, and instead I just decided to just be there as much as possible for my mom so she could have the moments that she needs to have, but still be able to go back to her life because no amount of me getting mad at Steve is going to bring you know my father back, and it's not going to change things. It'll only create more chaos and drama. Um, oh, your use of coon. So, one, you took to that like wildfire. Like, okay, you need to calm down. And I'm never sure if you're using it just to refer to black people, if you're using it in the right context of a white apologist black person, which is, I believe, the definition of coon. So you can let me know if that's how you're actually using it. Um, and then, oh, the Japanese, like the depreciation of the Japanese currency is very good for me. As I'm planning this trip to Japan, I'm like, ooh, how long can this like? Can their money drop a little lower? Can I get that? Like, because I want to buy things when I go to Japan. I want to be able to throw my money around. I want it to stretch. So, like, I feel bad for your loss of net worth, but also like if it goes up after I'm gone, like that's cool. Like, but just let it stay in this kind of like Japanese slump for a little bit, okay? Um, oh, and at least you're not paying tip when you're there, right? So you have nothing to worry about. Um, oh, so you said you were having a farewell party for Miss Custard Cream. Um, where's she going? Is she leaving? Is she quitting? I have not heard this. You have not told me this. What's going on? And you said it as if you had told me it, so I wasn't sure if it was just something I was forgetting. But please remind me if I have. Um, mm, yeah. So you going on this trip in to southern Japan sounds so cool, so much fun. I hope you get to see cool festivals and things. I'm not sure if they have like wintery festivals. They probably would. I hope it's a really fun trip, and I hope you eating rice for the next few months is um, doesn't make you have a distended stomach like so many African children. And white commercials. That part I would have edited out. That would have been. What was I trying to say there? I was trying to say in the like. in those donate to our thing commercials where a white person is holding a distended African child because they've only been eating rice. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. Um, da, da, da. Oh, and also on the topic of talking to people who I've graduated with, I'm really bad at communication. There are people that I definitely want to communicate with more, and it just did not happen. Today, I'm going to Starbucks today, tomorrow, and Monday. I'm going to Starbucks, and I am studying my butt off for this GRE, and I'm doing these first grad school application. I need to get it done by Monday. Monday. Um, and so it's going to be a lot of writing and a lot of studying and a lot of reading. But in between that, I want to have intermittent conversations with people so that I could be keep strengthen these relationships and they don't just disappear on me, you know? Because I feel like I'm the person to do that, and I don't want it to happen. I don't want it to happen. Um, yeah. So I hope your evening went well. Your whole Saturday was very good and fun and relaxing. And I hope your Sunday is equally as well. And I will talk to you later.